Welcome to Hey Las Vegas. I'm your host, the voice of Las Vegas, bringing you all Las Vegas's latest information, updates, and the occasional what the actual F. Oh, stick around. I got a what the actual F that if you're a tourist, you need to know about. Even locals should know about this too. Something I alluded to in a previous episode, but I'm going to show you some actual things that might make your skin crawl if you are indeed traveling or a resident or spend any time on the Las Vegas Strip. Today we're going to talk about, not really getting into the politics of it, but what the actual F is going on with MICHELE Fiore. She's been a a staple in the political game here in Las Vegas and Nevada in general for many, many years. Unfortunately, she has gotten herself, or allegedly, in some hot water. And we're going to discuss that right after this. And we're back. If you're new to the channel, go ahead, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell button to get notified when I do this again, which is at least 5 times a week. Don't forget my live streaming platform, raw and uncensored, over at brorfredrik.com. That's where you can hear me go live, raw and uncensored. There's a link and a 20% off coupon somewhere down there. And tonight, as a matter of fact, we're going to do a presidential debate watch party with commentary and everyone chiming in, and we'll see how that goes and where that goes also. And you can do all the link clicking and all that other stuff, which is absolutely awesome. All right, MICHELE Fiore. I'm going to let this video go a little bit, and then I'm going to play one of her commercials. It might not be YT friendly per se, and you'll get a good idea of who she is. But like I said, she's been around a long time. Nevada has been a battleground state in elections for years and years and years because it tends to swing. It should be called a swing state. They call it a battleground state. Sometimes it's red, sometimes blue. Sometimes red, sometimes blue. We elected a red governor after our blue governor because no one was happy with the way he handled the shutdown, so now we got a red one. Don't hear much from him. You wouldn't even know he was elected. I mean, I'm sure if I followed him very, very closely, I'd know what he was up to, but for all intents and purposes, unlike the previous governor who was a blue, he was in our face every day telling us what to do, like don't make me turn this car around. This guy, our new governor now, he's very, from what I see, my opinion, hands off. So we flipped back, forth, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red. Matter of fact, I think the blue camp is in town trying to drum up some support because, again, not tax the proposition from both sides. One came late, one came early, that tips would not be taxed for service workers. They should just make that across the board, if we're absolutely honest, because there's other people besides people who clean tables and wait tables and stuff like that who make tips. But it's been proposed, and being that 17% of our population supposedly earns tips here, it's been, again, a battleground and a talking point. The union has come out and said, no, we don't agree with that. Don't know why, but whatever. No tax on tips. They're here today promoting it once again. However, as more Californians move to the Las Vegas area and Nevada in general, we're turning more and more blue, and you can see that. So it is a highly contested state. Now, MICHELE Fiore, that's what we're here to talk about. We're going to get into it. We'll jump on the computer, we'll go over an article that is outlining the 6 charges against her for misappropriating funds, wire fraud, fraud in general, that could land her up to 150 years in jail. You'll recognize her once I pop the video up. I think I went long enough now where I could pop up the YT video, and I think we're gonna do that right now, and you'll know who I'm talking about. All right, let's expand this and let's have us a listen. This is when she was running for governor. And this is the commercial that was seen, I would say, across the world, but definitely across the state.
I'm Michele Fiore, and I'm running for governor.
I don't know how old this is, but that I don't know if that's accurate or not. But anyway, let's continue. Good. She didn't dox herself. All right, from the beginning.
I'm Michele Fiore, and I'm running for governor. I spent my whole life fighting the establishment. I was the first female majority leader in the Nevada Assembly and one of the first electeds to endorse Donald J. Trump. And you better believe I was attacked for it. Washington Post called me a gun-toting calendar girl, and Politico magazine said I was the Lady Trump, and I don't care. We need outsiders, fighters, not the same old boring, moderate, compromised, blue blazer politicians. Let's start with a 3-shot plan. Ban vaccine mandates, ban critical race theory, and stop voter fraud. The Joe Biden administration is coming after me. I'm Michele Fiore, and I'm ready for the fight.
Okay, that is, let's get this mic out of the way. That is Michele Fiore. Obviously, she stands out amongst the crowd for several reasons. How do I feel about that commercial before we get started? How do I feel about any commercial that has that type of edge to it? As much as I'm in favor, I'm a huge supporter of 1A, I'm also a huge supporter of 2A. That being said, kind of cringe. I mean, I get it. I get what she tried to do. I get what she's trying to say in that commercial. But who's it actually appealing to? It's probably appealing to a lot of people. Like I said, she stands out for several reasons. She's got the pew, the whole bit. All right, cool. However, that paints the right in not the most positive light, if you know what I'm saying. It just opens up, it just puts a target, being that, she started. It puts a target on a lot of people, including herself. It makes anyone who supports 2A radical per se, which technically not, because might want to pew a squirrel and eat it, whatever, you know what I'm saying. Grabbing it, oh, they're coming for me. That, it's a little inflammatory, in my opinion, even though I support 2A. So she received a lot of pushback. She received from both sides. She got a lot of shit for that commercial, but it was popular. And you see other politicians throughout the United States doing the same thing. But they have to understand that they're appealing to it's kitschy. It's cool. It's neat. It's like, wow, but it's not swaying anyone. It's not, I think I'll vote for her because whatever. It's divisive. And she, as a political person, was quite divisive too. And some would say, and she's also saying, that this is has political agenda and persecution, and if I was on the left, and I don't know. All I'm going to show you the article right now, the most concise one that I found that could do a better job than me of explaining what she's dealing with right now and what she's accused of. It's rough. It's rough. I don't want to digress too much. Let's just get into it right now. But again, it's a very, very niche spectrum of people who that ad will appeal to. But again, she's claiming that it's politically motivated and that she was in the blue camp, that this never would have happened. And to a certain extent, perhaps I might even agree, but all right, let's read about this. Michele, once again. All right, let's read the headline real quick. What to know? There's many, but new charges just came out. The ex-city councilwoman is set to be arraigned Monday on 2 more charges of using donations intended for fallen officers' memorial for personal gain. That is a big deal. I mean, I'm going to try to be right down the middle of this. If this turns out to be true, if it's terrible. I mean, I don't think it's going to be that hard to follow the money in this case. But then again, I remember someone with the initials HC also used some things that were meant for people in Haiti for her daughter's wedding or whatever. But anyway, again, let me not digress and get right into it. So we see here, former Las Vegas City Councilwoman MICHELE Fiore is set to be arraigned for the second time. 54, she now faces 6 charges of wire fraud and 1 count of conspiracy to commit fraud after prosecutors up and down. This is a federal case. She pled not guilty, and I don't know what the outcome of the next 2 charges were, but I'm sure they were not guilty as well. She says it's a direct attack on your character. Well, anytime you get indicted for something, it is an attack on your character, so that's an accurate statement. Federal prosecutors also introduced additional evidence that they say will show Fiore for years engaged in a pattern of fraud involving hundreds of thousands of dollars. But her lawyers have argued that this evidence should not be accepted because it is irrelevant to the existing, aka the current charges. Good luck with that. I mean, what else can we say to that? Well, you can't talk about the past. Well, it's true from a legal standpoint. You can't bring up the past to, prosecute the future, but still, if there's a pattern, trust me, they'll show it. What is the actual accusations? Well, according to the indictment, Fiore allegedly solicited donations in 2019, this is 5 years ago, for a nonprofit that she founded. The funds were to construct a statue honoring Alan Beck. However, a private real estate company had already agreed to cover the costs of the statues, an arrangement that Fiore was allegedly aware of. Now, agreed, trust me, this is just commentary. I am not a legal expert. This is just my observations. You do you. Okay, the fact that a private real estate development company agreed to cover the cost, that should not dissuade someone. If I want to build a memorial for somebody and someone comes along and say, hey, Bror Fredrik, I got that. I'm still going to solicit more donations because I don't have that money in hand. That's just a promise. Talk is cheap. So that's a slippery slope for them to stand on. But anyway, state records show that the nonprofit was voluntarily dissolved in 2021, 2 years later. She also solicited donations to her now inactive PAC, Future for Nevadas, to cover memorial. However, instead of using the money to fund memorial costs, she's alleged to have used the funds to pay for her fundraising bills, her rent, and her daughter's wedding. Yikes. She also allegedly transferred money to a relative and officer of the nonprofit, referred to in the indictment as person A. Obviously, they haven't named that person. That's not a good look. But they also say hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't know how much this wedding cost. I read somewhere else that I think the official number of misappropriated funds is 70,000 plus or minus. Don't quote me. Federal prosecutors and her lawyers have filed motions this past week to figure out what's going to be allowed in evidence, which this gets kind of complicated. I don't even want to get into the whole thing. The prosecution is saying we don't want the defense to bring up anything good that she's done, which is, again, that's a bit of a reach. Don't bring up anything good that she's done. And, I don't think they're going to get that blocked because, character, they're saying she's a poor character. And if the defense wants to argue that by saying, no, look at all the good that she's done, I think they have a valid argument here. The FBI did indeed raid her home as part of the investigation for campaign records, ultimately not indicting her until this past year. So they had to go digging deep. She was also a judge. Oh, check this out. The prosecution also wants the judge to block the defense, like I was saying, issues about her age. They don't want her saying, come on, she's a grandma. She's 53. She's a grandma. You can't put a grandma in jail. She's got to be with her grandkids, yada, yada, yada. I mean, that again is a reach. Like I was just saying, her good acts that she's done, and the fact that she feels that she's being targeted for her political beliefs. So they want, the prosecution wants all these statements here not to be able to be brought up in trial. One, the fact that she's a grandma, poor granny. She's a good granny, and she's being targeted, but you can't say that. Oh my God. The prosecution wants to also block the testimony of an expert witness who was a Las Vegas accountant who intended to show, they have such thing as forensic accountants. So they wanted to show that indeed this is where the money went. It was never misappropriated, blah, blah, blah. They want to block that. I think good luck with that, because the prosecution is going to bring in their own forensic experts, forensic financial and accounting experts. So she should be able to as well. Now, this guy who's a famous Las Vegas-based accountant, that could very well, again, my opinion, could be very well the end of his career too. I mean, to get involved in this mix against the federal government. I mean, if he wins, he'll be a rock star. If he loses, I don't know. Maybe we'll see him on the strip somewhere. Just my opinion. Okay, the prosecutors also subpoenaed Nicole Beck, the widow of Alan Beck, who was supposed to be the recipient of the memorial and and the fundraising and all the rest of that. I don't know what she's going to say. She's probably going to say, I never saw a dime of that money. All right, let's just go real quickly into who is involved. No way. Our current red governor, Joe Lombardo, was among the donors allegedly defrauded by Fiore when he was the Clark County sheriff. So he made some donations. There was plenty of donations. In the original indictment, prosecutors alleged defrauded anonymous public official, $5,000 check to a PAC to help fund a statue. How much was a freaking statue? I mean, I guess they're not cheap. The same day, Lombardo also donated $5,000. Maybe they're tying in that he was the anonymous official. Shortly after, Fiore transferred $5,000 from the pact to an account run by an anonymous co-conspirator who was allegedly directed by Fiore to purchase money orders to cover rent at her personal residence. I don't think they would be so bold as to make this statement public before the trial if they couldn't prove it. Yikes. So they got $5,000, spent $5,000 on a rent. Holy cow. The labor is local 872 also was allegedly defrauded because they donated some money. A spokesperson for Lombardo and officials of the union have not yet responded. I hope they don't. 3 other donors were also allegedly defrauded by Fiore. Their identities are unknown, but prosecutors refer to them as an out-of-state resident and 2 attorneys living in Nevada. And it goes on to say, yeah, she's a firebrand conservative, blah, 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 blah. Again, this has a lot of political leanings towards it. Some would say this reeks of a hit piece per se, but I'm going to go right down the middle and say they would not be making this statement about 5,000 in, 5,000 out if they couldn't prove it, because that would be a lot of egg on their face. Maybe she can prove that the money orders went elsewhere, but what is the elsewhere if they were supposed to go to some statue? I have no idea what the statue cost, nor if the statue was ever built. I cannot find that information. And she's lost a lot of things. She was trying to be the state treasurer. She labeled her, anti this, anti that. I get it. That's all good. That's not information that's even relative to this case unless it is politically motivated. However, if they have proof of all these things, 6 charges, 150 years in jail. Grandma, she's calling herself a grandma, might not be getting out of jail if she goes in. Of course, some other stuff will happen. But that is the story, and she's all smiles there. That is the story of Michele Fiore. I just want to see if there was any other follow-ups. Yeah, 20 years in prison for each felony account, and she has 6 right now, and 1 actually is a larger than the rest, so it comes out to about frickin' yikes, 150 years. Let's see her again. There she is, all happy, smile. Oh, there's our current governor standing behind her. What is she holding? Those aren't the keys. Did she win an Oscar for something? I don't know. But yeah, bad news. Indicted by a federal grand jury. So once again, Las Vegas makes the news. And there she goes doing a thing in her trademark red dress. There was one other thing. It is actually, check this out. This is on the DOJ, the Department of Justice website. So they are not playing. Charged for a charity fraud scheme. Yikes. This is on the actual DOJ website. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Again, I'm going to say that for me personally, I'm going to be right down the middle. You know that I support the Constitution. I support 2A. I support 1A. I do not support fraud. If it turns out that she's guilty, we're going to call her guilty. We're not going to call her guilty yet, but it seems like they have enough evidence. So the once high-flying Michele Fiore, I remember about 5 years ago, that's all you heard about. She was everywhere. She was doing just constant controversy, per se. There was always, they said firebrand. That's pretty accurate. There was always something hovering around her. There was always something, she was always trying to be a disruptive force in the political scene here. And ultimately, that might be her undoing. So if anything else develops on this case, I will bring it to you. But I told you I got 2 what the actual F's coming up for you. One is both are serious. Both are serious. Don't get me wrong. This is the story I wanted to bring to your attention about some police shenanigans here in Las Vegas. I mentioned it in the context of being 86 from a casino in a previous video and the things that you need to know. We'll discuss that, but let's just get right back into this story real quickly. Frickin' yikes. Metro Sergeant accused of unlawfully detaining individuals on the Las Vegas Strip. This is this guy right here. He does not look like a happy camper. He's usually used to being on the other side of this camera, but now he's in front of it. The allegations in this report: he ordered arrests of individuals, he instigated confrontations, he battered another officer, and he ordered officers underneath him to lie in reports. Now, we can go into more detail, the accusations against him, but that pretty much sums it up. So, basically, what this individual was doing and what you need to be aware of, like I was saying, in the how to get 86 or what to do if you get 86, what to do if you get in a confrontation in a casino or on the Las Vegas Strip. Basically, my advice is to walk the F away, because inside the casinos, there is a ruling. We'll get back to this guy in a second. There is a unspoken rule or a rule in general on the properties that if you have an altercation, even if you are defending yourself, someone comes up to you, tries to steal your phone, you give them a knuckle sandwich, you're getting 86 too. You are getting 86 also. The act of, because you were involved in said altercation, they're not going to worry about who's right, who's wrong, or anything like that. You were involved. You are getting 86 from the property too, on a legal basis for the most part. Not being able to come back for a year, maybe not ever. And that would be property wide. If that was Caesars, all Caesars properties. MGM, all MGM properties. So do your best to walk away. Why I'm mentioning that, getting back to this fellow here, he was instigating, or had a habit pattern of instigating confrontations with individuals on the Las Vegas Strip. So basically something like this. So he'd be walking down the strip, and he saw you doing maybe something that maybe you shouldn't have, or maybe let's just say jaywalking. So, hey, what are you, blah, 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 how come you're doing this and that? And, you turn around and you go, hey, F you, bro, whatever. He would instigate. He would instigate with people. Hey, I don't like, you doing this. Hey, keep it down, whatever. Instigating. This is a peace officer, a representative of the law, instigating fights and problems with people on the Las Vegas Strip, most of them being tourists. Instigating. And some people's natural reaction, and this town is fueled by alcohol and bad decisions to a certain degree, if there was any pushback, like, what are you, nuts? I didn't do that. I ain't picking up that. That's not my gut. Whatever it happened to be, guess what? You'd get detained. And if you didn't like being detained, again, I'm not a lawyer, but detaining someone, you do need probable cause for the most part, and you do need suspicion of a crime that's being committed, has been committed, or is about to be committed relating to that person. Again, not a lawyer. You could check that out for yourself. But he would instigate. Detained, and if you had any pushback about being detained, guess what? You were arrested. And other officers underneath him were like, bro, what are you doing? What are you doing? And he would force them. One, there's a case they brought up where, there was fisticuffs involved, and the other cases were where he just told them to lie. No, you just back my play. Tell him he said this. Tell him, he reached in his pocket. I'm not saying that's what he said. Just giving you analogies and examples, but situations like that. And that is frightening and definitely falls in the category of what the actual F. How he got caught, I can't wait to see how this trial and the indictment and everything else happens. But there must have been enough complaints, or maybe someone within the department came forward and said, Sergeant so-and-so has been doing this, that, and the other. You know what's going to happen now? They're going to go back into his arrest reports as far back as time immemorial, to the time he got out of the academy, and all of them could be invalidated. They're going to have to review. There's probably going to be perhaps a class action, but if a person was ever detained and can prove that it was instigated or whatever the case may be, someone else lied, I wasn't doing this, I wasn't doing that, you're talking massive lawsuits per incident. This is a big deal. I don't know why people aren't talking about it. This barely made the news here, but you're talking about opening up the entire city to lawsuits based on this one bad apple. And for the most part, like we know, most law enforcement officers are good people. They uphold the law. They uphold the Constitution. Some of them don't even know the Constitution, which, they should teach it. However, I digress. Most of them are good people, hardworking people, just want to go home. They want to protect, they want to serve, but there's always that bad apple. I don't know whether it's a screening process or whatever. You can just, the look on his face is just like, don't F with me. I would not want to encounter this guy on the strip, and I don't think you would either. So getting back to what I was saying, cooperate. There was a recent, if you've watched, the NFL player got dragged out of his vehicle pretty recently. He said that it was for one reason, and unfortunately for him, the footage came out and he was being uncooperative. He rolled up the window like F you, whatever, rolled up the window, and they dragged him out of his vehicle. Bottom line is, even if you encounter an a-hole like this one, cooperate. Do your best to cooperate, and if it still goes sideways, you have a leg to stand on later on. Don't ruin your vacation over some power tripping, hungry, I'm not going to say it, individual such as this. Be safe out there, but this stuff happens all over, and it's happening here in Las Vegas. So be careful. Enjoy Las Vegas. I do have one more, what the actual F to get into real quick. Oh my goodness. Las Vegas gas station worker is accused of thumping a customer over some nacho cheese. What? Is this where we've devolved to as a community? We're going to fight over nacho cheese. So evidently, this guy, he's the one who did the thumping with a Louisville slugger. So he had a customer who was what he considered talking smack and using too much nacho cheese at 4:11 a.m. on his nachos. So he emptied it out. He went and was like, yo, I need more nacho cheese. It's done. And this dude was probably like, I ain't giving you no more nacho cheese. You got enough nacho cheese, you know? And what he ended up doing, took out a Louisville slugger, cracked him over the head and one in the gut and whatnot over some frickin' nachos. Nachos that weren't even his. I mean, he just worked there. I mean, was it coming out of his salary? But anyway, I mean, that's, you know, the victim was talking whatever, and he told him to leave. But ultimately, he then showed officers the nacho cheese machine that the victim broke, did not break, whatever. But it was over using too much nacho cheese, and this guy got bonked in the head. The world's getting crazy out there. I'm not telling you to back down from every altercation. I'm telling you to avoid them. Just avoid drama. Avoid being in 7-Elevens at 4:11 a.m. unless you're going to work or whatever. Try to avoid drama because people are at a short fuse, and the worse the economy gets, I think the shorter the fuse is. There is a correlation between, you know, people's bank accounts and their fuses and whatnot. You know, that guy was probably like, damn, I can't believe I'm here making $9.50 an hour and I got to deal with this guy, whatever. It does affect people's decision. In fact, homelessness, a new report just came out on homelessness here in the city of Las Vegas. It is up 19.8% in the past year. 19.8%. That's not 19.8% of the population. That's 19.8% of the current homeless population. That's how much it grew. So we're talking thousands upon thousands of people. So yeah, tempers are short. People are hurting. It's bad out there. It's probably bad where you are too. But come to Vegas, have fun, keep your head on a swivel. But be careful. Be careful. You know, love one another. Be good to one another. Yeah, let's do that. I appreciate you hanging out for the news. One last time, I'm going to invite everyone to like, share, subscribe, hit that bell button to get notified when I do this again, which is at least 5 times a week. And if you want to support the channel, Super Chat while I'm live is absolutely wonderful and appreciated because my channel is almost wholly fan-funded, as is brorfredrik.com, my streaming platform. Go check it out down there. I got the links. And I stream almost every day, at least 3 to 5 times a week over there, raw and freaking uncensored. And I love you guys. And on that note, Bror Fredrik out.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.